Hello everyone, my name is Dylan Hamilton. I'm back here again with my Brothers in Time level for Escape Simulator. I went through and I basically finished up this level as of right now for like playtesting purposes. I went ahead and did a little bit of touching up with the level, and I even shrunk down some aspects, as we can see. From like the last video, it used to be bigger. The reason for that is because when actually like putting everything together, like as we can see, I filled up the room with a bit more props and put some stuff together, try to do some set design. There was just way too much space to like try to fill, and the only way to like I would have been able to fill it is like put in a bunch of stuff, which would have been very unnecessary. So trying to keep the amount of items in the level low as possible, I ended up just shortening this, which is fine. It still serves some functionality, and players don't have to like move around way too much, like go back and forth. But I did end up finishing like all the puzzles in this room, minus the actual playtesting, as well as drawn out the actual hints for them. You can see, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate all that. But as you can see, so I added some hints like some streaks right here for when this player spawns into this level. And basic. Oh, getting a little bit ahead of myself. But one other thing that I want to mention before I do full on explanation, that was my bad, was exactly how some of the bugs were and how they've been fixed. So one bug that I noticed was that when play testers they pressed this button, it wouldn't teleport them all at once. It would be one at a time. And so basically, whoever pressed the button first would be teleported, then the next person would be teleported. And they would all be teleported to this one right here. However, I don't know if I explained this in the last video update, but basically, I figured out a way to fix that by using another visibility activator. And basically, once the button is pressed once, the player would be teleported right here. The visibility activator would deactivate it, and the next player would be teleported to the other cell. I haven't had any full-on playtesters. I did test it out myself, but I would like to have some actual playtesters do it. And the next one. So fix that. I did add in a couple props that I had to build myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't have I would have had to figure out a very unique way of doing it with the props given to me. So I ended up building this puzzle right here, which is very finicky and when I show it to you because not everything stays even though they're all lined up to stay exactly where they're supposed to be. I made sure to add a button feature to this bed. So I'll show off all of these. Coming back to here. As we can see, it's very, very finicky, but the slides in the puzzle does work. So, and I even added a button feature because there is a bug to where if we unlock this, it'll just glitch out underneath there. So I wanted the player to be able to activate it as best they can. I even added this little thing to where the player has to solve the puzzle. But before I do further explanation into that, I will go ahead and explain as I go along, just to like show it off. Otherwise, I'm going to be bouncing all over the place, so I do apologize for that. So, once this player spawns into here, what's going to happen is they're going to look around. They're going to find this note, which is strange neighbor. It's going to talk about how this neighbor has witnessed the other person in the cell adjacent to him, how he basically has been saying a strange poem, which is like a coyote was trying to find his friend. He came across a lone frog, then three vultures, and finally found another coyote, which isn't much of a poem, but I once I actually have something like a texture or so to replace it, I will be making it better. This is just for the sake of gameplay purposes. It's the general idea of this. Uh, this is used to mess with that toy box or that little puzzle box right there that I showed off earlier. Once that player, once they understand what's being said, they'll see this puzzle box, and there will be more symbols on it, so players will be able to understand like what exactly is supposed to happen. But basically, with a lone frog would be 1, 3 vultures would be 3, and then it's supposed to be a trick question because it's saying a coyote's looking for his friend, and when he finally finds him, you would think it's 1 as well, but since there's 2 coyotes, the first one looking for his friend, it would actually be 2. Then we see like a knife and what's supposed to be a block of wood, which doesn't look very much like a block of wood, but that's just for later purposes. It's also another thing, like, once again, it's a stretching issue, and actually moving it around makes it vibrate a lot. But essentially what this is supposed to be doing is it's supposed to be hiding like a knife, which in this case is a butter knife because, once again, the editor doesn't provide much. It hides a knife and a block of wood, which is supposed to be used for like whittling, how prisoners would try to do. They do that. The knife is completely useless, and we could just... wrong one. Yeah, that one's very weird. Yeah, I still have yet to really fix this. That's probably why. I see the mistake with these ones now. They are... they're not connected to that. I thought I did, but I didn't. So, essentially, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to take the block of wood to here, and what would happen is that the player, or there are 4 numbers placed around this player's room. They would find this, a blue 4, a yellow 1, right under here would be a green 3, and alright. And the final one would be a red 8. And basically, they would have this combination right off the bat, but they won't know exactly the order to put it in, and those numbers would go exactly for this one. What I wanted to do for this is once the player solves this box, there will be this little, what's supposed to be a poster. However, there's not really much poster stuff that would fit this time era, so I just have this for right now. What's supposed to happen is after they solve that box, this poster would fall down and reveal the actual combination in the form of horses. So we would see the green, the red, blue, and yellow, and that would be the order of all these numbers. So we could see it would be 3, 8, 4, 1 would be the thing. Basically, how that would look is how it plays out. Is going right here. It's supposed to be more of like a coincidence kind of thing in the actual setting. Like this wasn't supposed to happen, but it did, and it helps the players immensely. So once they solve it, 1, 3, 2. Not only will they get this, but they'd also get an audio cue, which would show that. And this player can then tell that player exactly what the code should be. Once that player figures it out, we can then take it back to here. Well, keep in mind that this is a 2-player cooperative kind of thing, so it's like, for this case, it's a lot of switching back and forth that I'm doing, but there's going to be 2 players that keep heavy communication. But it would be 3, 8, 4, 1. And it would open this, which would reveal an ink bottle, which, once again, just like the knife, is useless. It's supposed to symbolize more like character detail for the person that was in this cell. Because we could see is that this person likes to draw, or likes to take notes. And we'll even see that even more with this, which helps the other puzzle back in the other room. But since we see like a lot of drawn pages, we can assume that this person likes to draw. And they also like cards, since there's a bunch of cards just strewn about. There's cards right there. There's going to be cards up here. I think I'm taking the rest off. But after we see that, it would then correlate to these three right here, which I did have to do like a little bit of a trick with this one, because I wanted it to be to where, as we saw earlier, we take out the wooden block and use it as a brick. And so I had to do basically some more stuff similar to what I did out here, and use visibility activators to deactivate one block to activate another, because it's weird that you can't really, or I mean, I understand, but you can't turn one block that is, I believe this one is used as a, yeah, this one is just used as like nothing really, but you can't turn that into a button like mid-game. So I had to have something that was already a button, which would be right here. So basically what we see is that once the player places the block right here, one of these visibility activators would deactivate that block, like completely take it out of existence, and then the other one would activate this one, because this one will be hidden from the start, as we see. Let me once again go back and forth. As you can see, this block is initially hidden. However, it's perfectly right here, but essentially what's happening is it's switching back and forth to the blocks once you place that one, and locks this button in place. So it completely allows for this. Place this, and you can kind of see the textures change, but now it allows it to be a button. Press all these, and then we see this button, or this brick right here, turn into a key. This is also, or not turn into a key, it opens up and shows a key. This one also took some time to make, because I had to essentially do the same thing that I did with this and make different walls. And what I did was essentially connect them all to this top one, which would be a button, and have this front one be like the animation to solve the like once the puzzle's solved, it'll open up and show the key. It's still very finicky a little bit though, because you can't really press it from the front, but you can press it on the sides. So it still acts as a button. And what I did with these keys, with this particular puzzle, is that once you press one of the other buttons, like let's say you have these ones. Oh. That is something I will fix here in a bit. Let's say you press this one, and go ahead and press this one before like continue on pressing all of them. If you press one of the incorrect ones while doing any of them, like any of them are pressed, it would reset the lock mechanism that we see right here. Or where'd it go? Up here. It'll reset the lock. So basically you have to go through and press the correct ones in order. Which one? What? That's weird. There's a reset one here. Oh, I think I know what happened. I think it's because when I was moving everything, that happened. So that's weird. It's not meant to stay, but essentially there is a way to like easily get through this So I'll probably actually, what I'll probably just do is add in this brick and keep it up here. Do that. There we go. So now it's actually a part of the thing. And sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. Anyways, so what it resets the puzzle, and so players would have to then go through and actually press them all in order, which is why this little thing right here says only. It's only these ones. You can't really press anything else, otherwise you're gonna mess up the entire thing. But once that happens, it then brings the key, which you can then use to unlock this little chest underneath. So going back. Press that. And see, that's what happens if you just unlock it underneath. And there was really no way of getting it out, so that's why I made the button. Anyways, here we see the flux capacitor as well as another note, which would basically the character that was here last in this cell is supposed to be kind of like a time traveler as well, and they're helping the brothers or the friends that are back in time for some unknown reason. So that's why it is going to be more hints as to saying like this person isn't from this timeline, and so this is supposed to be a note that's talking about a person of this time, and it's saying that this cowboy was nefarious and his end was guaranteed when he lost with the dead man's hand. And essentially that goes back to this one, where you need all to pick up all the cards with that correspond with the dead man's hand, which is a club of eights and ace and eight of clubs and ace and eight of spades. So what we see here, which there's supposed to be an extra hint right here with these like scratch marks saying that you could just slide it back and forth as to help give the player an idea. I mean, sure, like once they look over it, they can see that they can interact with it, but it's just to drag or draw the player's attention more in a subtle way, or not so subtle, but. And with that hint, I will be adding in a way to like defer what the dead man's hand is, but what we can see is that there's like a bunch of cards laying out. If we pick up the eight of spades, the eight of clubs, the ace of clubs, and there is one thing that I did. One card is hidden, and that would be, if we move the pillow, we would see the ace of spades, which I think is supposed to be a clever way of saying that the person in here is dead. The person that was originally in the cell is supposed to be the cowboy that note over there is talking about. So it's supposed to be kind of like a foreboding kind of thing that this person isn't alive anymore, with the ace of spades hidden underneath the pillow. So that's supposed to be some more like storytelling kind of aspect. But anyways, we put them all in there, and it would grant us access to the pen that he's hidden, because as like we talked about there, he likes to draw and all that, so he's hidden his pen, which can be used in along with like this very long paper clip, basically bust out of the prison. So now this player would be able to just walk out freely while this player is still trapped in the prison cell and basically roam around. One thing that I completely forgot, which I will be Changing right now. Because I thought it would be interesting to have the note right here, because it was supposed to be like, oh, they're going to burn the note after reading it. Or like just have it right here in the middle of the room, so like when the player walks out, they can just walk up and immediately see it. But it there's like a little clipping thing, as we saw, so it's not really like there. So I'm just gonna place it right here. And pretend that we are out, because once we're out in here, we really don't need to go back in there. So come out here, see this, it's backwards, but we see we need to let the mayor know that he can trust us at the evidence locker. The key is locked away until everything is cleaned. Yes, that means hats. So as we can see, everything is just kind of strewn about all over the place. And the broom hasn't really been used, so it's just like standing right here. More gameplay or storytelling. I already went ahead and placed like a handcuff right here, since this is one of the things that the player has to use in order to clean up. I placed one right here to like let the player know that this is where the handcuffs are supposed to go, and instead, as well as giving them one less item to like hang up, because originally it was supposed to be all three, but I wanted to give the player an idea of what they're supposed to do. We do that, place all three, go around, and if you've seen in like the last one, these kind of were all like strewn about because the clipping or something with the clipping, it wasn't working and they would all just fall off. So I wanted to keep this because I wanted to keep the fireplace. So I turned it into the puzzle by doing that and made these the actual pieces. So if we go around and place these on, the last thing we would need is this cowboy hat, which would open this door, which it would be open to a locked box. Now, I wanted to have this lockbox here instead of just giving the player the key, because while this player is doing this, I wanted this player in here to have something to do, so they're not just standing there once everything is said and done. So initially what I wanted them to do is to, and as of right now they'll be finding these earlier, is there will be these little notes right here, or these little drawings strewn along the jail cell. And once this player goes around and collects them, you can then like use the bed right here to or the floor. Floor's fine. For some reason these don't want to land upright, so that's fun. But what we do is we place them all, and we see that the pictures line up with each other. And we'll see 5, 7, 2. So this player would be figuring out the code. Now, coming back to here, once we clean up a little bit, and going through, I do probably plan on having a way to where that, like, these notes would be found while this player is doing something, but that would have to be, like, I would have to think of something to, like, pop up while they're doing that. So anyways, going here, we can now see code is, once the player tells us, it would be 572, should give us the key. Open this lockbox, bring us with the dynamite. Now, as part of like the more set design, I put this the lighter right next to this ashtray, and the player is to go through, do the thing, which would run the animation that I spent quite a long time figuring out. And through this, players would be able to have the flux capacitor in here in hand. So ideally, all of this would have already been done. Do that. There we go. Nope. So yeah, there's some stuff I still need to fix. But with this in hand, players can then take this one, replace it, and from there, I don't know why it did that right there, but from here, they would press the button and proceed to the next level, which I already set up. Though this is not going to be the next level, I do have want this to be a 4th level along the line, and have the players go through another level, one that's probably going to be like the 70s or the medieval section, and then they're going to be going to a space level where they're going to be completely separated from each other. And I do have some ideas for that I don't know how I'm going to do with how this game engine is, but I am excited to try to figure it out. And I'm still having these off to the side right here, just for later use. But anyways, that is the intention, or those are all the stuff that is in this level so far. Once I'm done figuring out all the gameplay aspects, I do want to go through and actually like fix the stuff and add in more assets that'll actually coincide quite well with the environment. So me doing that and adding assets, textures, and all that stuff that won't bug out for the monstrosities that I have had to make. So anyways, that is all I have for this one. Until the next update, thank you for watching.